Hello, Braves country. This is Coach Ken Anderson coming to you from Hardcore Braves. And today we got our Coach's Corner. This is our special segment we're going to do once a month. It's a fans roundtable. And today I've got my main man, Ryan, on here. Ryan, first of all, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. We got the series off to a good start in Cincinnati, just like me and you said they would. They were going to hit the crap out of Paddock, which they did for the most part, and it's off to a good start. We're one win away from 40, fellas. That's pretty good.
Yeah, and we'll get into that because they win 40 either today or tomorrow. It'll be the best start in franchise history before June. That's how good this team is. So bringing on the panel, we're going to start with on Twitter. He's Brad DeBoard. I've talked to Brad off and on forever. He's been to some games. And Brad, how you doing today?
Doing awesome. Blessed to be here. Blessed to be able to help coach my middle son's select team, the Rock Springs Knights, and though it was a rough day, tomorrow we'll be duking it out in the silver bracket.
Yeah, we've all had to go to the silver bracket, haven't we? So, and you try to win that one. So, and also in here today, I've got actually become a really good friend with. He's a Braves season ticket holder. When you come to my section 330, he'll be right there. He's been in that section. Josh Floyd, how you doing today?
Pretty good. Yeah, definitely excited for the Braves, how they've done so far this year, and can't wait to see how the rest of the year progresses.
A little known fact about Josh, though, his biggest collection, he has a ton of sports collection, but he has the largest Monopoly board collection I've ever seen in my life. So he's going to show it off. Look at all those Monopoly
And
boards.
all my Braves bobbleheads right up there. There you see them.
Yeah. So Josh
that's
is
just some of them,
He's
but we got a lot going on in this room. So
That's right. He's a big collector. So, and then lastly, but definitely not last, he's one of my favorites, and I thought he might come on because the guy that's been really carrying us this year is his favorite player, as you can tell, and his Money Mike's headband. Jose, so good to see you. How you doing?
Good to see you, man. I'm doing well. I'm enjoying watching this Braves team. And of course, I'm enjoying watching Money Mike just develop into the player that I've known he's always been able to be. So, doing good.
Interesting. I talked to Money. We had a big season ticket holder thing that we went down and took pictures with, and Money come up. He dapped me up and everything like that. I told him I had a podcast, and I said I got to get you on. Of course, in season's tough. He said, "I got you, bro. I got you, bro." So I'm gonna get Money Mike on probably when the season ends. We'll keep staying after. Hope he come before. But I guarantee you, Jose, when I get him on, you're gonna come back on and be on it. Does that sound good?
Sounds awesome.
Yeah, I promised Jose that he would always get to be on here with him. So Money Mike knows that's his biggest fan, so he definitely want him on. All right, so let's get started. May has been an interesting month, and it's not been as crisp as April and March were. But to give you the numbers, March we were 3-2. April we went 20-8, and May we're 17-9. I mean, not bad, guys. So overall, get your thoughts on how we look right now. 39-19. Phillies lost again last night. So we're 10 up, 10 and a half or 10 up on them. So in good shape, Ryan. So how you feel about the team right now?
I mean, I feel really good about the team personally. Look, I know we got our hiccups in the rotation, right? Like Grant's got to kind of figure it out a little bit. He's got to get over that fourth inning hump, but the bullpen has really come into form. That's what I've been most impressed with now that Aaron Bummer is gone. Might be the best guy on the planet. Couldn't pitch anymore. So AA did the correct move. He got Bummer out. Bullpen's really starting to settle down. Didi is doing great in that kind of that bridge role. The offense has been struggling a little bit this month, but hopefully some good signs from Ronald with the grand slam, the home run last night. Matt Olson seems like he's coming around. Shortstop's got to get figured out. I think that's the one obvious hole that we got right now is shortstop. I don't think there's any question. And, of course, obviously Austin Riley's been struggling, but, it is what it is at this point, so we just got to keep moving forward. Team's good, and they're winning in spite of some guys struggling, so that's what keeps me excited.
Me too. Jose, we didn't lose a series in March and April, but in May we've lost two. I think that's why everybody's a little like, oh, it's not plays good. But 17-9 in a month, that dog will hunt. Jose, how do you feel about the team?
Look, 17-9, I understand being just a little bit down about it after the just phenomenal start we had in March and April. However, if you would have asked me last year, I would have done unspeakable things to have a 17-9 month. So when you put that into perspective, the team's still doing fantastic. I mean, we have a chance to get to 40 wins. You can't really ask for much more than that. In a baseball season, there's always going to be ups and downs. It's not always going to be, hitting the crap out of the baseball all the time, pitching lights out all the time. There's going to be some hiccups. And I think what this team is showing you so far is that when those hiccups do happen, they do still have the ability to put wins together and to still have a fantastic month and just play great baseball.
Yeah, and Brad, think about it. If they win these next two games, they'll be 19-9 after we thought they were just the most brilliant team at 20-8 last month. So the team is not that far off. Like Ryan said, maybe a couple of things have struggled this month. But Brad, you got to be excited being a Braves fan.
I'm ecstatic because here's the thing: like the rest of the world, and it seemed like everybody I saw on Twitter. I went into this season pessimistic after the injuries that we got in spring training, worried about the starting pitching, worried about depending on Bryce Elder, and they've alleviated all that. And so, yeah, we've got a couple guys stepping up, playing out of their mind, but at the same time, I think this good run's sustainable. We've got Schwellenbach, my guy, coming back. Smith Shaver, who seems to be forgotten about, and Waldrop. All those arms about to be readily available who have options, so they have time to get back into good form in AAA. Money Mike, Jose's guys playing out of his mind. I think that was part of my preseason prediction to you, Ken. Um, Also, we're about to hopefully in the next couple weeks infuse Drake the Rake back in, who's really for that first run was kind of the holder down of our offense. So I think we've done awesome, better than expected, and I think it's sustainable for the most part. It's the bench pieces that I think, we're going to see come back down to earth a little bit, but hopefully not.
Yeah, that's the reason why we all know that Alex will probably try to pick up one more bat as we go along, and we all know who we all want. So we'll see how that goes and whether we can bring him home or not. If the Twins will get out of their ever-loving mind and do the right thing. Josh, well, we always say it's around the ballpark. It's great that we're winning. It's even better that the Phillies and Mets are struggling, isn't it,
Yeah,
Josh? So this is good. You got to be a happy season ticket holder.
yeah, absolutely. Kind of to piggyback off what something Brad said, about the pitching just in general with Swelly and even guys like Richie. People were kind of disappointed, him getting sent back down and stuff like that. But I think if we look at this Braves team 365 days ago, you flip last year, and everybody's like, oh, we have our starting rotation was on the IL, all five guys, and then we start the season, we lose Swelly, Strider's battle injuries, how's Elder going to do, and things like that. And now you look at the rotation and the guys that we don't have, and we still have a full rotation on the IL, but we're still performing. And, guys like Elder. I mean, yeah, Elder had one of his famous Elder starts, that he had a lot more of last year, and hopefully, he doesn't, spiral like that. And, y'all mentioned Grant as well. Grant, um, he could be, becoming back a bullpen guy when we get a bunch of starters back, but, Grant still kind of holding his own, but like you said, he's got to get out of that late third inning, fourth inning, maybe a fifth inning, kind of hump to be a long guy, and we've had these other guys come in and do what they need to do to slam the door with Kenley and Lee and some of those other middle guys, Fuentes, in order to give the Braves a chance. And the offense this year has had that chance. And, we've had guys that have been able to deliver Dom Smith, obviously the most, you know, epic home run to begin the year. When that happened, we're like, well, welcome to the team. And I sent something to coach, several weeks ago. One game I was at when Olsen hit that walk off, and it's just this team is different. The fans are different. Everybody knows that we have a chance regardless of what the score is. In the middle of the game, you get that seventh inning, and we have that chance, and that's the best part about going to these games, especially watching them live. And can't say anything else about it. And I mean, Coach, we do it all the time at the games together, and just it's electric. It's like every game is a playoff game, and that's being at a stadium like that is there's nothing better.
The interesting thing is, I know the fan base does because, like Josh said, the stadium's juiced again. Every game is pumped up. You can feel it. So if you ain't got a chance, get out to the stadium because it's electric. And they're coming home for a 6-game homestand next week. And we got 2 really good ball teams coming in. And maybe we'll get to see Paul Skeens in one of them on the weekend. All right, so offensively, let's tack the offense first. Here's the offensive numbers. In March and April, we had an OPS as a team, 779. I'll let you know, league average is for a player is 709. That tells you how hot we were in April. So everybody's like, oh, May, 715 as a team. So I think what it is we were so used to being Superman, we couldn't really handle them being Robin or Batman. It was like they were great, but they weren't as great as what we thought they were. Here's the hot in the code, and we'll get into it. Hot hitters in May, Drake Baldwin, 1.038 OPS. The guy's just the best catcher in baseball. Yaz, 0.941. Mateo, 0.900. For those who wonder why Mateo's playing right now, Mateo's hot. They'll play this out until he comes down to earth, and then hopefully, Kim will be ready to go. Harris, 8.849. Because Harris had a bad streak in there like 1 week. And that's why you see the difference in Money Mike. He has a bad week. He jumps back in. The code guys. Remember, anything up over 0.709. I'm going to list all of them. Okay? Eli White, 0.704. Dubon, 0.603. Ozzie Albies, 0.591. Hassan Kim, 0.287. That's right. We only have 4 guys under league average OPS. And one of the ones that we complain the most about was not one of those 4. So that's how good this team can really be. With that said, what you got to say about our hitters, Ryan?
I think most of the issues I think we've had have been inconsistencies with the approach. I think I've harped on that a lot over on the hip coil. It just seems like we've been chasing a lot more this month for whatever reason. But I mean, when it comes time for the guys to lock it in, more times than not, they're locking it in and pulling out wins late in games. So, I mean, overall, I would like the approaches to get a little bit more better. Especially for our big boys. Ronald's been struggling a little bit. Riley's been struggling. Even Matty O's been struggling a little bit this month. The guys you mentioned, I think a lot of them are they're going to bounce back a little bit, but Dubon's never been a high OPS guy. Mateo, I think, is going to come back down to earth. He's never been a starter in his career, so he's going to come back down to earth a little bit. I know Mateo's fun while he's hot, but he's just never been able to consistently do it over 162 games. So as much as people hate on Ha-Seong Kim right now, we need him to get better so he can be that shortstop that we need for this year to win a World Series. So, I mean, I'm not going to complain because we're 17-9. You're going to have some guys go up and down, but overall, I mean, the team's pulling together. They're a team. I think you saw that in the last game in Boston where everybody was talking to one another in the dugout, and they really pulled together, and they pulled out a big win when they needed it. So they're doing what they have to do in a tough stretch for them, and their tough stretches are still winning games. So I don't think you can really complain too much about it.
I agree. The key here is Ozzie at 0.591. That's not going to last. Ozzie's going to be the guy that gets hot. But the good sign is we all knew Yaz. The one thing that people are not picking up with Kim being back is Yaz has finally gone into his role. of the platoon. When he hits off the left hand, it's .941. I think those are two things to go forward that are going to be sequential importance for Walt making a lineup. How about you, Brad?
Absolutely. Going with Ozzy and talking about what I mentioned earlier about some of these depth or bench pieces kind of cooling off. And, Austin Riley included. You look at the back of these guys' baseball cards, and, you know that some of this stuff's not sustainable for them. I'm one that, I was texting my cousin Bird about it last night. Um, Austin Riley, in some of his best years, has started off slow. Um, Ozzy, has gone through funks. He's always been kind of a streaky guy to me, whether playing through injury or not. Um, but Riley tends to turn the corner in the month of June. So after knowing that, and seeing a couple bombs the last couple nights from Acuna, I, I'm optimistic. I mean, some of them are going to fade because that's baseball. That's reality. You're not going to stay scorching hot like Mateo over 162. But if you look at the back of the baseball cards, you kind of know what to expect and some regression and some people, stepping up like Yaz has.
I agree. And Josh, two guys that are not on either one of these lists are kind of in between that Braves country kind of get are Cunha and Riley. They're right in the middle. They're above league average, but we know they can be better. Now with Ronald is now openly talking about the injuries. I think that'll help him mentally get over them. I think that's a good sign that he's actually starting to say, "Hey, I got to play hurt. I got to get through this. I'm going to play." I think he wants to win a championship. And with Austin, me and Ryan were talking, and I talked to Bo. He's really right in line with the 2023 season, where he had a monster year in the second half. So, what do you think, Josh? You think we're going to get the best of Ronald and Austin in the second half?
Yeah, I think, going back to, Acuna, I think Ryan mentioned it earlier, seeing these home runs, is definitely a good sign. I don't remember how many games it was. Um, what, one only on my nose, like 30 games or something like that before he hit a home run. I mean, he was very, very slow, and then having two back to back, not to say he's going to have one tonight or tomorrow or whatever, but, showing improvement, showing those signs, is very important. Um, and then Riley, Riley too. He's kind of been um, streaky as well. Where he had a lot of down at the very beginning of the year. I think it was getting in his head. But then he'll have a week where he'll hit a couple bombs, and this very similar to Acuna. But we know these guys can't be down forever, and I mean they're Major League Baseball players for a reason, and you can try to knock them down and beat them down, but that's where the other guys step up. And right now we have those guys, stepping up that are maybe bench guys like Mateo and Yaz, but they're not bench guys all the time. I mean, they're out there having to play in the field, having to fill those holes and things like that, having to feel you know, the Acuna maybe being slow or the ball wasn't missing, or the Hassan Kim at short, whatever it is, you have to fill those holes all year round. And, I think the depth that we have right now is great. So
Yeah, I do too. And real quick, Josh we know a lot of these DraftKings guys. Stack the Atlanta outfield tonight if you're playing DraftKings. All three of them, Yaz, Harris, and Acuna. They own. Now, it looks interesting. The one guy that kind of struggles off of Singer, but I think he'll have a hot night. It's Harris. But all three of them, I think, will have big nights tonight. So I think you will see Acuna home run tonight. Let's save the best for last. The guy who had a great month, and then some of the OPSs are off. I mean, Drake got hurt, so his mind would have dropped. Yaz is only batting against one side of the plate most of the month. So the guy who had the best month is Michael Harris. Jose, it's just beautiful to watch. He hits all these bombs, but that line drive base hit single over shortstop last night, that's when you know money's on. It's spectacular in him.
It really is. And the thing about Michael that I've really enjoyed seeing this year is that, of course, he got off to that scorching start. You know, he had I mean, what was it, 147 WRC plus in March and April, so that's fantastic. His walk rate was 5.6%, which for Michael, it's great. Strikeout percentage 16.7%. Again, for Michael, that's a huge, huge improvement. So he got off to that scorching start, then he got hurt, and of course he got a little bit cold, which is to be expected. And now he's getting hot again. So to be expected, of course, when you go down with an injury like that. But what we've been seeing is more consistency, and this is what I said about Michael all of last year, basically. He had always shown flashes of greatness, flashes of just being an exceptional baseball player, but he had extreme, extreme highs and extreme lows to the point where he was borderline unplayable. And he pretty much was flirting with getting sent down to AAA last year, if we're being honest. So what we've been seeing from him this year is that even when he is on those low streaks, they're not really that low, especially compared to last year. He's getting more level, so that it's way more consistent, and he's just a uh, much better baseball player all around. So, great, great improvements that we've been seeing from him so far this year.
Yeah, I agree. And for all those who talk about Murphy, me and Ryan have gone to bat to tell him that look, it's take out the salaries. He's a great backup catcher. If anybody wants to know why that is, you got to see two catchers trying to take his shoes, and neither one of them can hold them. So we need Murphy back to be the backup catcher, guys. Who cares how the money's getting paid out? Yeah, Drake should be the one making the most, and Murphy Sean should be making his salary. But who cares how they're getting it? They don't care. So Drake knows where he's at in his career, and Murphy knows where he's at. So Drake's going to get a big contract here. So we need Murph back sooner than later because I like Chadwick and I like Sandy, but they cannot hold Sean Murphy's jock. Y'all got anything else to add on the hitters, Ryan? Nope, you're good. How about you, Brad?
The only thing that comes to mind for me is just all the people ready to give up on Hyosung Kim. Look at last year. It took him a while to come back from the IL and play up to his level. He didn't really have any kind of a spring training. Um, give him some reps, give him some patience, and hopefully we catch what he did for the Braves at the end of last year to earn that contract.
I agree. And Josh, I know been friends with Brian. It wasn't a strength of his to realize that. I think it's a strength in Walt. You can see him pulling Kim off because he thought mentally he was out of it. And he's just going to sit him on the bench. He said he looked good yesterday in the cage, let him get some reps. And that's kind of the difference I see in those two managers, don't you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Walt's clearly a player's coach.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So we're going to move on to the pitchers. Pros and cons of the pitchers. First of all, the ERA in March and April is 2.93. You can't do better than that. I don't care. As a staff, that's ridiculous. 3.17 in May. That's how good they've been. The pitchers have kind of carried us this month, to be honest with you. They've pitched well. Here's the pros for the pitchers. Anything under 3 is considered excellent. Doesn't matter, relief pitcher or starter. Sale 1.69, Lee 1.50, Suarez 0.77, Iglesias 2.25. God bless Raciel. He hasn't pitched much, and the one game he did get to pitch, Boston was hitting bloopers and bleeders everywhere to give up the 2 runs. Dieter Fuentes 0.71. 0.71, boys. I think we might have found one of our future big studs on this team. Here's the pitchers that are struggling. Now, league average is 4 to 4.50. Holmes is 4.38. So he is what we think he is. He's just kind of an average pitcher. That's what he's kind of grown into. But here's the guys who struggled. Kenley, 5.91. Hefner found out what his mistake was. He's looked good in his last 2 outings. He shortened his stride, get his off speed down. And the other 2 guys were Richie at 6.08 and Bummer at 14.40. And Alex is already doing something different this year I've seen him do. Richie, get down to the AAA, fix it, and Bummer, you're out of here. And the Braves ate a contract, Jose. I won't start with you. I don't know when the last time the Braves ate a contract. And that tells you they're going for it. So what do you think about the pitchers overall and Alex deciding, nope, we're not putting up with this. We're going to make moves. We're going to go for every win, even if it is in May.
I mean, it's just fantastic overall. Like you were saying, the pitching has really carried us, especially in the month of May. Again, our offense has not been bad by any means. It's just once you have that start in April, it's a little bit hard to compare May to that. But um, offense has been good, but the pitching has really just been excellent, like all around. People are complaining about Grant Holmes. However, Grant Holmes, guys, like he's still our number five starter. He's still right around where you expect him to be, so it's not horrible. You can deal with that. Aaron Bummer, that was very surprising to me just because I did not expect the Braves to just eat that contract. However, I am very glad that they did because it was very apparent to everyone that Aaron Bummer is just not a Major League Baseball pitcher anymore. And that's been apparent now for several months, going back to last year, if we're being honest. So the fact that the Braves just went ahead and pulled the trigger, ate the contract, and God bless whoever picked up Aaron Bummer. Hopefully, he's probably the nicest man in the world. I hope he has success everywhere else except against the Braves. But for the Braves, he just was not being effective anymore. And the Braves did what they needed to do.
Yeah, my wife makes us, used to say on Ryan's going to laugh. My wife made us point out that how nice of a guy Aaron Bummer is. He's one of her favorite Braves as far as talking to, but even she got tired of watching him come in. Josh, you know that. So, Josh, you've been a season ticket. We've been fans a long time. I don't know when the last time he's ate a contract. And to be honest with you, Chris Sale this month, which we know is one of our friends, God, he idolizes him. He's just been special this month, hasn't he, Josh?
Yeah, I mean, Chris Sale is being Chris Sale. I mean, he's pitching like the all-star that he is, and just hopefully he stays on his feet and don't make any stupid moves towards first base. Yeah, if everybody remembers that from last year. But um, you know, I think being the leader too. Possibly for these other pitchers, these so many young guys in the clubhouse. But Chris Sale, racking up the strikeouts. He's doing Chris Sale things, and the other pitchers that go out there, whether you're the third, fourth, fifth in the rotation, whatever it is, you can't expect to be Chris Sale. You might have a Chris Sale start, but you can't set your expectations that high. And because if you set your expectations that high, and even us as fans or whoever, you can't expect everybody to be like him. And if I may, like going back to off season, the Max Fried, everybody was like, when we lost Max Fried, everybody was like, oh no, the end of the world. Look at where he's at right now compared to where our rotation is. I mean, yeah, it sucks. We lost a good pitcher at the time and stuff like that, but losing guys or doing stuff the way AA wants them done, and Walt Weiss is not afraid to make those pitching changes and do what he needs to do regardless of what inning it is, and it's let the guys do their things.
Yeah. And Walt proved that last night. He kind of made Grant upset, but Walt's going to go for the win. And he knew that was the spot that he could bring in the guy I'm going to ask you about, Brad. We know he's been good, but I didn't even realize he'd been this good this month. Dieter Fuentes might be our wild card this year because he may pitch out of the pen, guys, but by throwing two innings, it won't take him long if he needs to go into the starting rotation to get him ramped back up. So, Brad, he could be a definite big-time plus for us this year.
Absolutely. Didi Fuentes is an animal. I mean, it's almost hard to watch Holmes start the game and then bring in Didi because I just want to see it right out of the gate and Grant Holmes be the 2, 3 inning relief guy because we all know he does great one time through the order. But Fuentes, you bring him in anytime, and I feel like now he's kind of gotten those new to the MLB jitters out of the way, and he's taking the mound with confidence, from what I can tell. And with that nasty stuff, I mean, why shouldn't he be the most confident man in the world? But he comes in even when we're down, a couple runs, and it's like, well, we're going to hold him here. And that's all you can ask out of a reliever.
Yeah, I knew the game was. I knew he was going to shut the door. I didn't like Trump's pitch call there on 0-2, neither did CJ last night. But that's all on Trump because they're not letting a rookie pitcher pitch his pitches. So Chadwick probably got a little word from Jeremy and Eddie on that one. All right, so 3 big things there. Everybody's waiting, Ryan, to hear Didi or Fuentes. And it's funny, we did not talk beforehand, so he teed you up here, Ryan. Brad and me and Ryan talked today. It should be flipped. Didier should be the starter, and Grant should pitch the 3 innings or 2 innings behind him. He teed that up for you. He's been good. How great is Chris Sale? I think Chris Sale may retire Brave. We win a world championship with 51 hung in the rafters and go into the Hall of Fame, which would be awesome. And 3, everybody on social media wants to know how much of a big party you threw when Aaron Bummer got cut.
I was dancing out in the streets butt naked. That's how excited I was when Aaron Bummer got released. I'm sorry, Aaron. You might listen. When men's league comes around, just come down to Georgia, and we'll ride on out to the ballpark, and we can pop a couple brewskis. You can tell some more stories, and we'll throw you out there for an inning. All right, look. I don't hate you. I hated that you were the worst pitcher in MLB, okay? That's all. That's it. You're probably a great person. Chris Sale's Hall of Famer. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. He's probably a top 5 pitcher in the game and somehow is underrated. I think he goes very underappreciated in the bigger media markets because he's not in New York or Los Angeles. My God, if he was doing this for the Dodgers, it'd be all over the freaking place. And going back to Didi, he should be in the rotation. I've been big on having him in the rotation from the start just because if you plan on using him in the rotation, just go ahead and put him in there. Look, I know some guys, he's been big out of the bullpen. I'm not saying that's not a route to go, but just at this point, he's shown that he's better than Grant. And I don't hate Grant Holmes. I very much like Grant, but I think Grant fits this team the best out of the bullpen. And I know Grant doesn't believe that, but buddy, when you're going out there every single start and you can only go 4 innings and you're giving up about 2 to 3 runs and maybe more, and then you're leaving guys on base for guys to come in and clean up, it's time to go to your role. Your role is in the bullpen. I've been on that for quite some time. I haven't really changed my stance on it, even when he shoved it up the Nationals' rear ends. But that's where I am. Didi needs to start, and I think it's time. He's got 2 really good pitches, the fastball and slider, and once he really develops that changeup, he's going to be absolutely lethal in the league.
Yeah, I agree. And to Grant, we all love you, but listen to your general manager. He's actually gone on the radio and publicly said if all was even, Grant would be the odd man out. So he even publicly stated how the Braves look at it. So Schwellenbach was here, Waldrop was here, Schwarber was here. It would be Grant that would be in the bullpen. So, all right, we're going to go around and give quick grades on all this. So give you a quick grade. You can give me a quick synopsis on why you gave the grade, but try not to be too lengthy here because there's 5 of us. Offense for the month of May. Josh, what do you give it?
I mean, with our record and being the best team, I mean, I would definitely say an A. I mean, I guess you could always say there's always room for improvement because of the slow starts from some people. So that would be the difference between an A and an A plus, in my opinion, just because of certain people being down.
Yeah, I mean that's a good team. They got a good offense, and the poor Red Sox and the Reds are finding out the hard way. They've 3 games here in a row. They've scored at least 7 runs. Brad, what's your grade?
Tough not to go A, maybe A minus at worst, just because some guys are playing out of their mind. Some guys are a little colder than you'd like them to be, but at the end of the day, they're getting the job done.
How about you, Jose?
Me personally, I would go with a B plus. The reason for that is because even though our offense in general has been doing rather well, there still have been a few games where, yes, it's to be expected once in a while. However, we have gotten shut out quite a bit. That being said, there's still quite a few players that are struggling. Austin Riley is not playing up to his level. Ronald Acuna has not been Ronald Acuna for an extended period yet this year. Ozzy Albies has been struggling a little bit this year. Um, and who else off the top of my head? Mauricio Dubon started off really well. Now he's cooled off a little bit. So the team overall has been doing really well. However, they still can play a lot better once those big bats really get going. So that's why I would go with B plus right now.
Yep. How about you, Ryan?
I'm actually going to give out the worst grade, Ken. I'm gonna be hard on the boys. They get a C plus, and I'd give them a B. Look, I know inconsistencies are going to happen, right? Like you're going to have you're going to go on stretches where you're hitting a buck 50 because it's baseball, but at the same point in time is I don't think the guys are controlling the controllables as best as they can, and that being their approach. I think the approaches have been vastly inconsistent this month, and somehow, mainly because of the pitching's been so good, we're still able to pull out a 17-9 record. But again, I think if you lock in your approach a little bit, you draw a few more walks, you're getting more opportunities to score runs. I think that would have made it a B to B plus, but I just can't give them that. I know what this team's capable of. We saw it in April. That's when they got an A plus out of me. But this is not that. So I'm going C plus.
Funny, before I looked into the numbers today, in my head, I thought of what my grade was going to be. I had them at a B because this seems kind of average, above average, but it's definitely winnable. And that's what the numbers suggest. I'll stick with B. I like all the grades because I can see grading high because they did have a 17-9 record and they found ways to win. I can see Ryan's grade because there's definitely rooms of improvement, so I'll go B. And you'll find out from me and Ryan, he'll score the hitters harder and I'll score the pitchers harder because that's just where we come out of looking at games. So let's go to the pitching. We already know they have a 3.178 team ERA in May. Josh, what's your grade for pitching this month?
That I think that's a tough one too. All the pitchers as a whole. I mean, yeah, I'm probably thinking in the B range. Just because obviously we have I think Snell's been phenomenal the last month or so. I mean, he took a loss, but I don't remember exactly what it was, but he only gave up like 1 or 2 runs and took a loss. I think Grant Holmes also had a similar start with the one where he had a decent outing and ended up taking a loss. But and then going back to your other guys too, like the Bummer with a 14 ERA, how much does that weigh down your overall pitching staff? So I'll go with a B.
But you, Brad?
I'm going B plus. The guys you expect to do well are doing well. Can enough be said about how elite and future Hall of Famer Sale is. Elder had a bad start his last go around, but overall's been pitching great. The biggest issue was Bummer. I thought they got rid of him, so that's a non-factor moving forward. Kenley's turning it around, as you alluded to earlier. So I'm gonna go with a solid B to B plus.
Jose, where you got them at?
I honestly have them at around, I would say I'm pretty high on the pitching. I would go with an A to an A minus. The reason for that is because when I look at all these games that we've played so far, we're about a third of the way through the season, right? We've only gotten blown out once off the top of my head, and that was in Miami. The pitching always gives the boys the chance to win the game. It's always either the offense is on, the offense is not on. If the offense is not on, that's when we might lose a game. However, pitching always gives us a chance to win. And honestly, the fact that we let go of Aaron Bummer kind of makes me want to give them an A plus, but I'll stick with an A minus. So yeah, I'll go A minus.
He's kind of stealing my thunder when I get to my grade. But the one other time that we got blown out, everybody's kind of forgot, but that was when Raylo got kicked out of the starting rotation. That was in Washington. So we've been blown out twice. Ryan, what's your grade?
A minus. Reason why it's an A minus, walks have kicked up. I can't stand walks, Ken. You know, I cannot stand free passes. That is a controllable out there on the mound. Grant Holmes, I'm looking at you when you have 2 outs and not a dang soul on base. Stop throwing the ball out of the strike zone. Thank you.
Yeah, last night was frustrating. He had him right where he wanted. We had a great play to get the first out, and then he decided to throw 4 straight balls to put a guy on base that, was just kind of frustrating. The reason I said Jose stole my thunder a little bit, I wanted to give him a B plus just for the overall effort of the month, but I'm going to bump it up to A minus, which I don't ever do, give pitchers hardly an A minus, because the 2 biggest problems we had this month, Ryan talked about it, walks. That was J.R. Ritchie's big problem. He sent him to AAA, and I don't know what we were watching with Aaron Bummer. I'm not going to be mean and say he should be in Church Men's League, but that's kind of what it looked like to me. That's what I see in Church Men's League, 84 mile an hour fastballs and 76 mile an hour off speed. He got cut him, and thank God for the Cubs to pick him up because he is a nice guy and he can still play in the MLB. And I doubt he'll be on their team by the time they play us again, though. But I'm going to go A minus as well. So I think it's really good grades. So coaching, how would we grade the coaching staff this month? Now, we all were very high on them in April. They did have a couple of boo-boos this month. I think even they pointed to that they made some mistakes. So it's interesting to hear what y'all's grade are on Walt Weiss and the staff. Josh, what you got?
I mean, we talked about this during the off season and a lot last year, at the stadium, stuff like that. But I'm not saying that Snit's a bad guy or, any of the other coaches that we've had in the last year or two, Wash and stuff like that. But I mean, again, I know we talked about this before, but I wanted to see a complete overhaul, and that's what we got. I think Walt has done very well. I mean, there's a few hiccups. Like first base coach, we've had a lot of pickoffs that I think are unnecessary. It's kind of like what Ryan's saying with walks. I mean, you can't defend a walk, but there's no reason why you should be getting picked off as much as you are. And I think we had like 3 in one game or something like that. And our steals are down. I know Ozzy's been a little slow getting on base, but Ozzy's not getting on base. Acuna, obviously, we all know what's going to happen with that. But I think all that is a coaching thing. In general, I love the coaching staff changes and stuff like that. But there are some things that I think we could still work on. So I'm going to say B again as well for the coaches. So
It's very fair. Brad, what you got?
I'm going A. I feel like Walt Weiss manages his pitchers like every game's must win, which I love. That was something I love Brian Snitker, but would frustrate me at times and leave somebody in a little bit too long. But the only thing keeping it an A plus for me, base running mistakes, and I wish that they would revoke Acuna's ability to use the challenges because that's looked bad a couple times. But I'll go with an A.
Yeah, Ronnie, stop challenging pitches that are right down the middle of the strike zone. let's try to be a little bit. Last night was a little bit closer. It was close. So I'll give him that one. Jose, what do you got on the coaches?
Coaches, I would go with a strong B plus. The reason for that is because they are still above my expectations coming into the season 2026. I've gone on record, and when the decision for Walt Weiss was made, I wasn't the happiest about it, and he shut me up. So nothing but good things to say about Walt Weiss. I feel like he has a really good feel for the game when it comes to needing to take pitchers out. He never leaves them in too long, from what I remember off the top of my head. And just overall, it's been good. What I will say is, like the other guys have mentioned, the pickoffs have been frustrating, and overall base running, I still feel like that's an area we can improve on as a team. So if we can improve on the base running, that would get us up to back to that A grade. But for now, I'd say B plus would be fair for me.
Yeah, I'm so glad because Bogey decided to throw everybody under the bus on Twitter who said bad. So I was glad I had Walt in my top five when I did my thing back in October. So I was glad of that. So Ryan, what do you got for the grade?
So mine's a little bit different. So overall, I want to give a B plus, but because Walt just knows how to manage a dang game. He knows how to manage the pitching staff. He knows when to push the buttons to play small ball really well. He just knows how to manage the overall game so well. These guys are getting A minus, and the only dude dragging them down is the first base coach. I'm very confident that he's going to get these guys figured out over there. But the pickoffs are ridiculous right now. There's absolutely no reason for the pickoffs. And Matt Olson, look, I know you wanted a double because you hit the ball off the wall yesterday, but there's no reason for you to try to go into second base right there. I'm sorry. You're too slow for that, okay? Just know your role. Your role is to hit the ball over the fence. If you hit 111 and it goes to the wall so quickly, just hang it right there, okay? But that's the only hiccup at the coaching staff right now is the guy at first base right now. Too many pickoffs and just too many mental mistakes over there right now.
Yeah, and Walt, he should have paid attention. I could have said it was the first time, but that Dunn kid can play in right field for Cincinnati. He should have been watching the game. And I've known Matt since he's 10, so got to be a little hard on him. I'm going to give it a B plus because I think they can be better. There are questions. I think Walt's done a great job. I want to give some love to the one guy that I'd give an A plus. The hope all so far. Knock on wood. I got to knock on wood. Because he'll go out and make a mistake tonight. But the A plus guy, the only guy that gets an A plus all the way through to me, and Jeremy Hefner's close, but it's Tommy Watkins at third base. He's been outstanding coaching third base, man. He knows when to send them, when to hold them. He's done a fantastic job. And anything, he gets an A plus this month for almost breaking his leg trying to get one guy home and later on. So, all right, so we're really high on the team. This is our June schedule. Let's see how y'all think we're going to do really quick. June is our most days off. That's going to help us. We like that. We get a lot of days off. We pretty much only play one Monday, and even that week we get Thursday off. This is all we got. We get Toronto and Pittsburgh at home. We get a normal schedule, by the way. Toronto and Pittsburgh at home for 6. Go to the White Sox and the Mets. We can finally get to see the Mets, thank God. And then we get San Francisco and Milwaukee at home, and then we take our last road trip to the West. We have San Diego and San Francisco. So I see the Giants twice in the on that schedule. I like that. You get a Toronto team that's starting to get hot, though. I don't like that. And you get really good teams in Pitt, in Milwaukee, and San Diego's playing pretty well. And we get to go beat the Mets to death. So that's good. So overall thoughts on June. How do you think the team will perform, Josh?
I mean, I think we definitely have a easy shot to do what we've been doing all year. I mean, if we can go through, there's going to be a couple of tough matchups in there. Obviously, like you mentioned, Toronto, and it doesn't matter how good or how bad the Phillies or the Mets are. Obviously, we're specifically talking about the Mets road trip here, but they're always going to try to play us tough. But if we can definitely win that series, that's gonna help our self-esteem and definitely lower theirs even more than it already is. Because it's like a 2-game swing. When you're playing those rivals like that. Um, so I think if we can go in there and win, I don't know how many series that was, Ken, but like five series and lose one or two, just like we have been doing, then we definitely have a good shot at doing that. So
It's 25 games. It's smallest we play in any month. We have a 26 game that goes into the next homestand, but it's our smallest sample again, or 25 games, the last game being. Brad, what do you think of June and our schedule? Yeah, and Jose, before you give him that, Murakami got hurt last night. He's going to be out maybe 6 weeks. I hate that for the White Sox. He's got a grade 2 hamstring, and so he may be out even longer. I hate that for them because they were off to a great start. So you got 25 games. What are you thinking, June?
Hate to hear that, by the way, about Murakami, because I actually really like him as a ball player. But I'm thinking about 17, 18 wins. I think that sounds about right. That's right around where the boys have been playing. And I do expect individual players to perform well. Ozzy obviously is not going to have as bad of a month as he had in May. Ronald Acuna is on the way up. Um, Austin Riley, I feel like he has to get it going. Find a little bit more consistency by that time. So I'm thinking 17 to 18 wins.
Yeah, I like it. How about you, Ryan? What do you think? Before you do that, there's two teams that we may get new managers before they get there. The Mets are playing better. They won a big game last night against the Marlins, but this has been like a year with their manager kind of struggling, so they could make a change. Even though their owner keeps saying he's not going to, and Tony Vitello might get tired of it in San Francisco. So there's two managers. We may get new managers. We just did in Boston with Tracy. So what do you think is going to go on in June?
Going 19-6.
Woo.
Braves
We
play
better
well in
get to
June, baby.
we better get to 3 runs the first against the Milwaukee Brewers because that'll be a low scoring series. Y'all go to the Brewers game. Any of y'all get ready for big time pitchers duel because both teams will. It's lined up. I looked at it in advance. It could be a major pitching that weekend. Mizorowski's scheduled to pitch and they've got some really good young arms. And Sale's supposed to pitch that weekend, so we'll see. I'm going to go. See, Ryan always jumps my thunder sometimes. I was going to go 19-6 as well. I think we're going to clean up on the Giants. I actually do think we're going to clean up on the Mets. I just don't like. I didn't like the Mets team in the offseason. I still don't like them now. I just don't like their team, and that's not me being a Mets hater, which I am. But I was just looking at team because I like the Phillies team, and Ryan is not as much. But I like the Phillies team. I don't like the Mets team. So we'll go with that. So we got to get out of here. We'll give a final thought. It's your last time to say whatever you want to about the Braves game. Josh, what's your final word?
Oh, I don't know about going first on this the recap, but yeah, I mean the hitters got to keep doing what they're doing, and picking each other up. When you have some players that are kind of down and out, you have the other players that got to fill those gaps, and really the same thing goes with pitching as well. Like, we've talked about it a lot. The one thing that we didn't really speak on, I know we talked about flipping Grant Holmes possibly, but Ronaldo Lopez as well. Like he was kind of one of those odd men out, in a way, kind of like Martin Perez was when he got sent down, got released, got brought back in the bullpen. Now you're a starter. Some of that kind of stuff. When you walk into work, what is your role? I know that's got to be hard for some of those guys. So, hopefully we kind of get that stuff straightened out, a little bit more figured out as we start this summer stretch, and can keep doing what we do. And as always, go Braves.
Yeah, I think as far as Reynaldo, I think he's been towed. I think that's why he's handled a little bit better. I think Holmes is the one that doesn't really understand what his role is going to be. We're just all telling him what his role is going to be. I think Reynaldo knows that the Braves have kind of slotted in. And look, if Martin starts struggling again, yes, there's a possibility. Brad, what's your final thought? That's right. That's right. We got to keep the chop hand strong. Jose, what's your final thought?
Vote Michael Harris to the All Star game.
All Star voting is going to start. Everybody in Braves country needs stuff that I don't know. I forget how many times you can vote a day. Is it 10 or something like that? Every time, get him in once. Okay, once a day. Don't miss a day. Michael Harris deserves to be the starting center fielder and All Star. Look, they're going to try to vote Paul has it in LA, and he's probably deserving to get some votes, but no way he should start over Michael Harris. So, all right. Before you jump in here, Ryan, there's a chance that Waldrop small chance by the time we do our next fans roundtable, may be ready to start throwing some meaning games off the mound. I'm talking about for the Braves or Gwinnett, but actually throwing some live action to some hitters. That's the expectation. So, what do you think, and what's your final thought?
Team's good. Enjoy it because the last 2 years were a big time struggle. So that's all I got. Go Braves.
Yeah, and my final thought, as always, remember to follow us at Hardcore Braves. Check these guys out too. Remember, if you're at the stadium, you can come see me now. Now you can come give Josh all the love you can if you want to. And y'all not following Money Mike or Brad, you should, because they do really good takes. And so jump on them. And we do appreciate you, Braves Country. We love you. And as always, go Braves.
You know what, boys? You guys are going to be world champions for the rest of your life.